10,000 likes on this video and I'll go to 200 days in hardcore RLCraft. Last week, I played RLCraft with Nolan and Orc for the second time ever, so go check out that video. Basically, RLCraft is a mod pack that adds all sorts of things into the game to make it ridiculously hard and annoying. Now, I'm kind of an expert as I used to straight up speedrun this game back in the day, but this is hardcore mode and not a speedrun, and I have to survive 100 days. So I have to get really strong really fast. So sorry if you want to see slow progression. If you want to support the channel by doing almost nothing, please subscribe. I want to get to 50k by the summer. Also, just a note, I have a second channel where I'm going to be posting stuff about a roleplay based creator SMP server that you'll see popping up on this channel pretty soon. Applications are also open right now, so if you're interested in applying, go to the top link in the description on my Twitter. Anyways, on to the video with day 1. Day 1 started as you might expect. I collected a ton of gravel and flint, collected sticks, and got myself some flint tools. I collected stones around the ground to craft a pickaxe, and then got blessed by the RLCraft gods and discovered a village. This is my 15th attempt at this challenge, and I'm so glad I spawned right next to this village. I spent the rest of the day just collecting goodies from here as I needed as much stuff as I could possibly get. On day 2, I got a full set of chain armor and set up a small base in this house. It was immediately attacked and burnt down by some flying demon thing, but I made quick work of him. I upgraded agility and crafted a bow, as well as collected some leather to make a backpack that I can use before heading out on an adventure. The village didn't have a library, so sadly I'll be unable to settle down there. I'm going to find another village to settle down in permanently. I cooked some chicken in order to tame a rock as soon as possible to start taking out battle towers and getting as much materials as I can as quick as I can. Day 3, I cleared out the small area of this house I settled down in and made a more permanent starter base. I know I eventually wanted to settle down in a village with a library, as it would be the safest place for me to be, but as of now, I was stuck in this stupid starter base. I spent the rest of the day gathering up all the goodies from the village and putting them in my chests at home. I also specialized in the combat, which allowed me to gain more experience from killing monsters. Day 4, I decided to head in one direction to find some goodies and not get lost. I needed to figure out some sort of way to make a map or a way to view my coordinates. I ended up finding a dragon's nest and immediately noping out of there. I killed a rock dude who spawned from mining and returned home to the base. Then I crafted an antique atlas using a compass and a book and quill that I found around the village. Now I'll always know where I'm going. I spent the rest of the day collecting some sugarcane and smelting up glass bottles. I wanted to make sure I had a lot of water with me on my journey, so I utilized melon juice plus a backpack to make sure I always had water wherever I went. I decided to spend the night farming skeletons in order to get avian treats and tame a rock. I actually ran into one of these birds outside, but as I was crafting the treats, it was killed by one of the Aegises protecting the village. Then I proceeded to be mauled half to death by whatever this was. I decided to sleep away the night and obtain a rock later. My god, was I scared after this one. Day 5, I walked around the next morning and found out there was a rock literally just sitting outside for me. I tamed him up easy with the treats, and now I was able to fly. Let's go! I also got defense to 8 and made a rapier and upgraded iron shield. I also got the gathering skill up to 4 and crafted a fishing rod. Now, many of you RLCraft veterans know exactly what I'm about to do. I went to a battle tower, fishing rod in hand, used it on the big guy, shot him with a bow, and zoom! There he goes! Bye-bye! Now I can collect the loot and repeat for an infinite success. I did this 2 or 3 more times before my second rock died to a wind spirit, so then I returned home in fear of losing my other rock. I collected enough materials to actually create a soul stone, so now this rock is bound to me forever, and I returned home and slept the night away. The first thing I did on day 6 was soul bind my rock, before dismissing him and working on upgrading my skills. I ended up getting 8 attack and defense and 7 magic. I upgraded my rapier to an iron one, and utilized a full set of iron armor. I also had 3 accessories that I got from battle towers that I put on. Afterwards, I started to collect a large stash of water for an adventure. I wanted to find a good place to set up base, and I also wanted to make sure I was geared to a point where I wouldn't die before I delved more into this. I didn't want to completely speedrun these 100 days, but I certainly want to be at a stable point where I wouldn't randomly die. So I did have to get geared up really fast. I'm using speedrunning tactics solely because I want to get to a decent strength before I start building. As many of you guys know, I love to build. However, you guys did want me to spend 100 days in hardcore RLCraft, so I have to take precautions. Day 7, I spent the entire day smelting a ton of water bottles. I wanted to craft as many drinks as I can before I fly off to look for a place to settle down. As well as it's helpful to have a bunch of drinks stockpiled anyways. Preferably inside or near a village is where I wanted to set up, as they were unbelievably helpful. in a hardcore playthrough. I wanted to get to a bigger one though that had a library. I was already in my 15th attempt at this challenge, so I was using as many shortcuts as I could to complete this challenge. Without cheating, of course. I crafted a ton of melon juice as I had leftover melons from chests, and created an upgraded speed ring with a potion ring that I found out while getting battle towers. I could have crafted one, but I just had one laying around. I'm glad I was this set up so quickly because I know this challenge is about to get a lot harder, especially when I go and take on a dragon. Day 8, I was exploring and trying to find a nice place to settle down in. Since this RL world might actually get to 100 days, I wanted to make sure that I had a large area to build with. I also realized the backpack mod doesn't let me pick up the backpack outside of using it as a chest plate. So perhaps later in this playthrough I could add in extra mods for 200 days or something? I don't know, leave a comment. Day 9, I discovered a nice village that I wanted to make my base in. I decided to reside in the library as it was a large building that can fit all of my stuff. I spent the rest of the day hopping between waystones looking for my starter base, and finally by the night I found it. Now I have to move all of my stuff over to my new base to continue on with my adventure. I wanted to build my own complete base eventually, but for now, I needed to stick with this library and grinding experience points to get fully enchanted armor and pretty much be immortal before I start building a whole base. Day 10, I spent the entire day moving all of my stuff from my starter base over to my new base, finalizing this as my new base location. This took the entire day. Day 11, I decided to clear up my area a bit, as well as make sure all of my basic chests are organized and under control. I wanted to have a good source of food as well, and a decent storage room set up for these 100 days. If I'm going to make my base in this village, this is going to be a pretty hard accomplishment in hardcore mode. I spent the entire day just organizing my stuff, and I also made this neat little map in the center of my base. On day 12, I almost died. So while I was ransacking a village that I was going to use to my advantage, I literally fell straight into this ravine. If there wasn't water, I would have died, and I would have had to reset the world again. So I got lucky here falling into that water. I spent the day gathering everything from the other nearby village and bringing it back to mine. Day 13, I wanted to collect more experience from battle towers in order to max up my defense and equip diamond armor. I ended up destroying one battle tower, then afterwards finding a random sea serpent who was just stuck on this tree. So I used my Aegis summons to completely destroy him. I also killed a few of those sirens, which got me the ability to create the sea serpent scale helmet. Now, my defense was just barely level 16, so I couldn't actually wear it yet, but oh boy was I excited to put it on. Day 14, I ended up getting a ton of silver armor from this battle tower. That, plus a few other glowing ingots that I got, allowed me to finally be able to craft a powerful bauble called the Dragon's Eye. Now, normally you would have to kill a dragon to wear this, but I actually found a dead corpse of a fire dragon very early on in the series and had this dragon skull just chilling in one of my chests. Now I have permanent night vision and fire resistance, so it'll be very, very useful when fighting against dragons and other monsters. Like I said, I wanted to get as strong as I could, as fast as I could, in order to be prepared enough to not die to anything in the wild randomly. So this trinket was just helping me with that. My defense was also a 16, so by the end of the day I had a full set of diamond armor as well as this trinket. I actually discovered a Crimson Rock as well, which is a rare variant of the normal one, and I immediately tamed him, replacing my normal rock. It just looks cooler, and I think it had some more health. On day 15, I decided to start building a mine in order to get my experience levels up and start using iron tools. I was about to graduate to diamond weaponry, so I thought I might as well get a ton of experience with mining to unlock iron tools first. I created this large cave using Vein Miner and decided to mine up a bunch of cobblestone. I also needed this cobblestone for another project that I'm going to work on and build inside this village soon. Day 16, I wanted to unlock the enchantment table, so I spent the entire day grinding experience levels at battle towers to do so. By the end of the day, I discovered that farming crops actually gives you a decent amount of experience as well, so I wanted to spend the next few days building a farm. I also wanted to build a mob farm for experience as well, in order to get as much experience as possible, as quick as possible, in order to, well, be as strong as I can get so I don't die. Day 17, I started off the day by creating an upgraded diamond shield. I had enough diamonds now, so I thought, hey, why not? Then I began working on my farm, collecting a ton of dirt and mining away at the already set up farm here. I wanted to make the farm big enough to where I can collect a few extra levels of experience from it, in case I need it, but not so big that I would spend the next 4 days working on it. Day 18, I was casually doing some farming when a giant monster spawned in front of me and poisoned me. I immediately retreated and sat in my base waiting for the end to come, but then I was saved. I ate a golden apple and used all of my bandages. Oh my god, that was scary. I was not ready to take on any sort of monster yet. I can't even kill the mobs that spawn from farming. Anyways, on day 18, I finished up the 3 farm areas, planted some potatoes and carrots on each of them, and went to bed. Day 19, I started by crafting a ring of resistance to help me survive against enemies better, as well as upgrading a few skills with my experience levels. Now I had mining 4 and magic 12 to use an enchantment table. I went to a second village and collected a few things before losing track of time and working well into the night. I was attacked by a rock and felt nothing of it, but a Mo-Rock attacked me out of nowhere. I'm so glad he missed because I know these guys can one-shot me. However, you can also tame them. So, throwing away everything, I crafted a ton of dragon treats using emeralds and went outside to tame him. Apparently, I was so lucky as it only took 1 treat to tame him, and now I had a level 2 Mo-Rock dragon on day 20. What? Day 20, I decided to spend my time on my dragon, flying around and destroying battle towers. He's super fast, one of the fastest mounts in the game. I took out 3 battle towers before returning home, only to be mauled by a Venturaptor. I took this time to retreat to my base, as I did no damage to him. Turns out I just tamed him with Avian Treat, and now I have a level 2 Raptor in my arsenal of mounts as well. Neat. I spent the entirety of day 21 mining in my cave for experience and ores, utilizing Vein Miner to help me out. Day 22, I returned to the surface only to discover that there was a blood moon, which meant I couldn't sleep. Lucky for me, I was able to stay inside for most of the day. I did end up taming a Zoator that came real close to my house for some reason, and now we're friends. I got enough XP to get up to level 15 in attack, just one away from utilizing diamond weapons. Day 23, I did a bit of a break day and learned about my mounts and pets that I had. Turns out I can't fly on my Zoator, but my Venturaptor was extremely quick and was able to travel hundreds of blocks in a single leap, which was insane. Looks like my Mo-Rock is my best mount though, but the Venturaptor is actually faster. I just have to get up to a high area first. I went to bed that night and woke up the next morning looking for an adventure. Day 24, I killed a few Makas for their meat and finally upgraded my attack to 16, giving me access to diamond tools. Now I was able to go even further and get level 24 attack and defense to use dragon armor and weapons. But before that, I wanted to have a full set of enchanted sea serpent armor, so I needed to set up an enchantment table and an experience farm. So on day 24, I decided to just build my enchantment table area. I had all the materials already. Day 25, I got my defense to 20, which meant that I could now wear the sea serpent helmet that I made so long ago. I could also make the other pieces of the armor with the leftover skills that I got, but I needed more shiny skills from sirens to get the full set. So I flew off to get some of those, killing battle towers and slaying monsters along the way. I returned home and crafted the rest of the set. Now, all I needed to do was create an experience farm to grind out levels in order to enchant this full set. So, I'm going to spend the next few days doing that. Day 26, I decided to plan out an experience farm area that I can use to sit and AFK at in order to no longer worry about experience anymore. I decided to build this a little bit away from my village just in case. I used a lava farm that I found a tutorial by Pain Domination and just went with his design, so shout out for him for making a video on this that I could, steal. I spent the entire day gathering materials in order to create this farm, and I cleared out some space nearby to build it. On days 27 to 29, I decided to build this experience farm and just kind of time-lapse it over. I made a stone brick building with an area for me to sit and kill the mobs without taking damage, as well as creating iron doors for the entrance. This took a pretty long time as I had to keep going back to the house for more stone, but in the end, after these 3 days, I had a successful experience farm, and I was pretty happy with how it turned out. The next 3 days, days 30 to 32, I sat at my experience farm to grind out levels. I wanted to enchant my entire set of Tide Guardian armor, so I needed a lot of experience for that, like 42 levels at least. And even more if I couldn't get good enchantments. So I spent these next 3 days just chilling at my farm. On day 33 to 36, I know this is a huge chunk of days, but I spent a long time gathering experience and enchanting books and adding enchantments to my armor. I really wanted to be strong for the rest of these 100 days, so I didn't have to worry about, dying. On other attempts, I had gotten further than this. I think I got up to day 55 before dying. But this time, I refused to die. I was actually doing this for a really long time, but I ended up just making it 4 days because I didn't really know how long I was recording. Cause some of the footage got corrupted, but that's not the point, Anyways, by the end of this, I actually got down with a pretty good set of armor and a really good enchanted weapon. So let's move on to day 37. Day 37, I still gathered more experience because I wanted to get my defense to 24 and my attack to 24 to use Dragonbone weapons. But as of now, I was able to get all my stuff together and I might try to take out a boss. I wanted to fight the Wither so that I could create a regeneration ring. Before killing the Wither, I wanted to make sure that I was able to survive. I might end up building a potion room just to have regen potions and a couple other buff potions. But I think I can make an attempt without potions just because of how overpowered my armor is. And I can also make a fast getaway on my raptor if things get bad. However, I think I'm going to go ahead and gather stuff for killing this Wither. I have full enchants, and I did get Vampirism 2 on my sword, so I think I should be able to. Beforehand, I wanted to make sure I was set up, though. I decided to look into reforging my armor, so I had to collect more bronze serpent scales, and that's gonna take a while because they have to be specifically the bronze scales. I wanted to get the Masterful enchantment on all 4 pieces of armor, and I was able to get it on my helmet with the 2 that I had. That was super lucky, but I needed to collect more sea serpent scales. On days 39 to 44, I scoured the Minecraft world in search of specifically bronze sea serpents. However, I ended up killing a lot of sea serpents to make tide arrows as well, as I think those do more damage. I don't actually know, but I wanted to be as strong as I could before I fought this Wither because I didn't want to die and, have to restart. Now you might be thinking, Asher, why are you killing a Wither? Well, the potion regeneration ring, as well as creating waste stones and a few other things, will be really, really helpful. There was also a crazy event with Lycanites Mobs this day that spawned in a ton of Reapers for some reason. I ended up spending a long time exploring and found a large desert with a fairly small dragon that I might end up killing before these 100 days end. I set a waypoint on my map and decided to head back there another time. Day 45, on my gastropod searching for sea serpents and other goodies, I discovered a literal giant kingdom! Look at how big this naturally generating structure is! I spent the entire day here, and it was a blast to explore. If I were to spawn in one of these, it would be the easiest 100 days of my life. Day 46, I spent the entire day collecting wheat and experience in order to finally get my attack up to level 24. Now I'll be even more prepared for when I completely destroy this Wither in the next few days. I obviously am prepared enough, so I think it's time to head home and get ready to fight this boss. Days 47 and 48, I gathered enough stuff to fight the Wither and reforged my boots and helmet to Masterful. I'd only gotten 19 skills, so I was lucky that I was able to get 2 Masterful enchants. I also reforged a few of my trinkets and created another reforging system specifically for bubbles. I wanted to get max life on everything so I could take more hits and, not die. I used my experience farm to reforge to a lot of what I had to Hardy, as well as some gold ingots to grab even more max life on my potion rings. By the end of these 2 days, I was able to get all of this stuff on my current gear. On days 49 and 50, I gathered the materials needed to summon the Wither, and slayed him on my own terms. It was a tough and long fight, and I could barely see anything, so I panicked and ate 2 god apples for some reason. I just really didn't want to die. In the end, I killed him, created another heart container, got the nether star, and moved on to collect obsidian from a nearby village, build another portal, and jump into this deadly abyss. I needed ghast tears to make this regeneration ring, so that's where I had to go next, and I just ran through this. On day 51, I ran into an Ignibiss and tamed him with dragon treats. This is apparently the nether version of a Morok, and he took a while to tame, but I had to go back and grab dragon treats and a soulstone to tame him. I wanted to eventually fill out the entire bestiary, but that's definitely not a task for the first 100 days. I noticed connected to the nether fortress that was nearby, there was a purple doom-like dungeon, so I wanted to explore the fortress and defeat this dungeon. Day 52 to 55, I spent the next 3 days in the nether exploring and killing things. I got ghast tears, wither skulls, and a ton of ender pearls. I felt really geared out for the next 4 years with all this stuff I have. I was easily able to tear my way through just about anything this dungeon threw at me. There was tons of treasure, and I battled this giant boss guy and looted a soul stone from him. I have no idea what this even does, but I'm gonna put it in one of my chests. I felt really overpowered, so I returned home to base to craft a few items to really feel the ease of RLCraft for the next 45 days. As we're about halfway through the challenge now, I don't think anything could ever even dream of killing me. Day 56, I crafted 2 regeneration rings, and now had constant regeneration 2 buff effect on myself. I reforged them to the correct modifiers, and ended up with 2 full rows of hearts, plus 4 more, which gives me a lot of leeway for damage. I also spent the rest of my experience on reforging the rest of my baubles to grant me max life as well, and enchanted another book to see what I could get. I used all of my gold to craft a ton of golden apples. I have so many of these that can just be my food source now. I ended the day off by crafting a dragon bone saber, as well as a dragon bone longbow. I wanted to be decked with dragon gear soon. So, this means that soon I will be taking on a dragon. As our sea serpent armor breaks, our dragon armor shall soon replace it. Day 57, I wanted to kill a bronze or red dragon, but finding one that I could take on is going to be pretty tough, as I needed at least a stage 3. I could not go with a stage 4 or stage 5, but maybe I could. I don't actually know yet. I spent the entire day just flying around and looking for one, preparing for the battle ahead. Sadly though, I wasn't able to find a bronze dragon, but after searching, I found the dragon. He was in my sights. Day 58, I engaged the beast. Attempting to shoot him down with my bow, I quickly realized this strategy is not the best, as my aim sucked. So I ran in, buffed up, ender pearled directly in front of him, and destroyed him. I killed this dragon with all of my buffs and claimed his blood as my own, forging a new powerful weapon and bow. My arsenal grows. I've taken over this mod pack. I've won. Nobody can stop me now. Day 59, I spent exploring multiple villages and collecting enchanted books, as well as trading with villagers to try and get good enchantments for this dragon armor. I really wanted to have like advanced protection or just something really strong, because I wanted to be really tough, but I knew this was going to take a really long time to do. I was only able to get sharpness 4 in my sword and unbreaking as well. I'm looking for vampirism to get lifesteal on my weapon. Day 60, while I was out looking for enchantments, I ran into this small dragon in the water and killed him, collecting enough scales for a full set of dragon scale armor. This was awesome, as it was going to be my best in slot armor for the rest of the series, pretty much. Now, all I had to do was find the advanced protection enchantment to put on each piece. I spent the rest of the day looking for more villages to get enchantments from. Day 61, I ran into this huge dungeon with a ton of boss bars. I strayed away from it as I wanted to get more geared out before exploring these kinds of dungeons. I heard that these were really tough, but needed to kill the final bosses of the game. I killed some ice dragons and then continued on with exploring. Day 62 to 66, the next 4 days I flew around looking for amazing enchantments, as this is something super important and I know I spent a long time on this, but I really wanted to get good enchanted armor so I didn't have to worry about dying. I could have probably gotten them from my experience farm, but I read online you can get better enchantments quicker by just exploring villages. I got some more sharpness, infinity for my bow. I needed armor enchants though, and I was really looking forward to getting more than just regular protection enchantment. I wanted to get something better. Day 67, I lost my Atlas map. I was able to make a new one, and this might not seem like a big deal, but I didn't lose my house, and I didn't lose much, but I lost all of the stuff that I had been exploring. I don't even know how I lost this. I must have misclicked it into a chest or something. I really don't know. I spent a while looking for it. Maybe I accidentally threw it out. Oh well. I ended up finding a vampirism book in a village, as well as another mending book. Day 68 through 70, I decided to go ahead and stay at my farm to get protection on all my armor. I was able to get protection 4 on 2 pieces, advanced protection on 1 piece, and protection 3 on the last piece. I had a full set of dragon armor, and it wasn't the best armor in the game, but it was pretty neat. Now all I had to do was make a frost saber and enchant it to be able to dual wield, because, you know, dual wielding's the coolest thing ever. Just pointing that out. So now that I'm all set up and basically immortal, the main goal for these 100 days, which was to get to a point where I could survive, was actually complete. However, there's still 29 days left in this video, so we're obviously going to finish up a lot of stuff. First of all, I want to have a permanent base location all set up and planned out. So I'm going to go ahead and find a good location to set up my base over these next few days. And yes, as you might expect, there are a few things that I cut from these 100 days. Like grinding enchants for hours on end is actually something I ended up making only a few days instead of like 8 hours or something crazy like that. But on day 71, I took off with some essentials after creating a waystone to set off to explore. I wanted to set up in one of the autumn biomes, and I wanted to create a huge base. or at least clear out an area that I could build this base on. Because I wanted to set up for 200 or even 300 days. I don't know what I'll do with this series yet. However, I also wanted to do a few dungeons before the video ends, so I won't spend too long on this part of the video. Day 72, I found the place I wanted to set up, and it was literally next to 3 dragons! So I had to fight on my life and realized that I'm going to have to terraform the hell out of this area in order to make it look pretty. But, like I said, it's something I want to do for 200 days, so stay tuned. Day 73, I flew around and took in the area that I'm going to call my base in. It was destroyed, there were dragon bodies everywhere, burning buildings, trees that are on fire, and it was just not pretty. But I was gonna make it pretty, as this was going to be my permanent base. But I'm thinking I'm gonna do that during 200 days, as I kinda want this 100 days to be about fighting and upgrading my character. Day 74, I felt so powerful after destroying these 3 dragons that were around the area, I decided to spend the whole day fighting up a bunch of dragons in this area. I made some diamond tools and had collected an extra few drinks as well. Day 75 and 76, I wanted to fight another wither to craft another waystone for this new base location. I decided to go ahead and set up the fight and killed him to collect his star. This took the entire day, 2 days. One day to collect the stuff to kill him, and the other day to actually kill him. But by the end of day 76, I had an outpost set up where I wanted to build my new base. Now, on day 77, all the way to day 81, I cleared out this entire broken down area filled with dead dragons and burnt grass. I wanted to get a big area to keep everything in. I literally just terraformed this whole time, and even with Vein Miner, it still took over 2 hours just to complete. And it wasn't even nearly done, to the extent that I'm going to, have to clear out to build a whole base. But I think this is all I'm going to work on for these 100 days, as I'm going to leave most of that for the next video. Now, let's continue gearing up my character. Day 82, I set out on a quest to obtain the Black Dragon Scale. This was another really powerful immunity item that I wanted by the end of the video, as like I said, the goal for this video was to be as strong as I possibly can in the first 100 days, and spend the next 100 or 200 days making a base. So I needed to not worry about having gear or worrying about dying to anything at all. So I had to travel to the end to kill the Ender Dragon. So I spent this day getting 16 magic and then headed out to look for the stronghold. Day 83, I took the time to destroy a few battle towers to collect Ender Eyes, as I didn't have any in order to get to the end. I spent the whole day collecting these, as well as looking for boats to grab extra Wither Skulls to make the Black Dragon Scale with a second Nether Star. Day 84, I arrived at the stronghold and spent the entire day looking around the stronghold for the portal room. I literally had no idea where it was and only found it by refreshing the chunks. It was literally behind this wall of lava. How was I ever gonna find this? What? Day 85, I lit the portal and headed directly into the end. I was ready to face the dragon and collect my reward. Let's go. I killed the towers and dragon using my bow and flying on my mount. I collected 90 levels of experience and the dragon skills and headed back home by the end of the day. Day 86, I spent the day setting up for the wither fight, as well as crafting a dragon skill that I'm going to use for the bauble recipe. I also got a crazy amount of skill ups from these 90 levels, maxing out my attack and get everything else 16 plus. I got everything together and slaughtered a wither for day 86, successfully crafting the dragon scale bauble. Day 87, I decided to go and create an obsidian skull in order to upgrade my cobalt shield to the obsidian shield. So I headed to the nether to collect a few materials. I ended up spending the entire day just killing things in order to collect magma cream, wither skeleton skull, and a few other things. Then I headed home and decided to make a brewing area in my starter base. I crafted the obsidian skull and upgraded my shield to an obsidian one. On the beginning of day 88, I decided to upgrade my necklace into the Stone of the Sea. This required me to go out, kill some battle towers for glowing ingots, use a fishing rod to fish out of the pond, and while I was out, I killed this huge dragon! He was apparently a stage 5, which was the biggest one, and he dropped over a stack of scales! I returned home to craft my upgraded necklace and end the day. Day 89, I realized I had an issue, and many of you probably have noticed this as well. It was now winter in RLCraft, which means I will take constant damage from the cold. Now, I was pretty much immortal, but I didn't want to accidentally go AFK and then come back dead from the cold, so I looked up the recipe for the Aussie liners and decided to spend a few days making some of these. I had more than enough slime balls from my farm, but I was missing ice and magma blocks. I spent day 89 grinding out ice in an ice biome nearby, and on day 90, I had to head back to the nether. On day 90, I spent the entire day in the nether gathering magma blocks before returning to the overworld to craft Aussie liner to add on to my armor. I crafted both pieces, added them to my chestplate and leggings, and there we go. Temperature was basically regulated, and I would never have to worry about it again. Day 91, I discovered the mega bauble called the Ankh Charm, and realized I had a few pieces from it already. I decided to spend the last 10 days working on getting this bauble and seeing if I could get every single part to craft it. So the first thing I needed to do was head over to grab the vitamins from Ocean Monuments. I headed over there to go and kill another guardian to get this bauble. Day 92, I had my eyes on the Ring of Free Action, which required 2 rare drops from mobs, so I headed back to the End Dimension once again to kill some shulkers to get a shulker heart. I spent the whole day doing this, and it worked out since it was only a 10% drop. It was extremely dangerous in the end, but I returned home safe, but lower than I've ever been in a very long time. Day 93 to 96, I realized I had the most amount of hearts that I can have, since the heart containers no longer worked. I headed home to craft a compass and decided to look for a snowy tundra biome to farm strays. I needed to farm these guys to collect an overclocking ring to use in the Ankh Charm recipe. This took about an hour or so to farm out, but I did end up getting it, and I had a blood moon to help with spawns, and I ended up just kind of finding it lying on the ground after I killed a ton of mobs. Day 97, I ran into an event called Tsunami, and headed outside to battle the water and lightning creatures that spawned. Until I realized that they paralyzed me and prevented me from moving, so I really don't want to deal with them. I spent the rest of the day just hiding in my base waiting for them to go away. So, on days 98 and 99, I spent the last 2 days before the finale in the desert, at night, hunting for husks in order to get the forbidden fruit drop. However, I think I needed to set up a farm for this, or just spend a really long time doing this, as I was not able to get the drop even after an hour of farming, sadly. Perhaps in 200 days, I'll set up some sort of farm, or just farm it out by spending hours doing it. But yeah, that brings us to day 100. Day 100, the end of the video. My god, was this challenge hard. Even though I became decked out very quickly. This was my 15th attempt doing this challenge, and spanning over the course of over an entire month of attempts. So if you got this far, thank you. RLCraft is a really brutal mod pack, and I had to resort to speedrunning tactics in order to complete these 100 days. I'm surprised I was able to do this entire challenge without dying, but I'm very happy I was able to do it. I looted a lot of battle towers and other things off camera, just like with my Hypixel Skyblock video, cutting out some of the boring grindy parts. Like I said right at the beginning, 10,000 likes and I'll go to 200 days in RLCraft and focus on taming a dragon, as well as building a full version of my base. Also, I'm thinking of adding a few new mods, so go ahead and comment down some mods you'd like me to add into RLCraft. Anyways, that's gonna be everything from me. Thank you all for watching, have a wonderful night, and as always, keep your pants on.